banned. Our burden of proof for today is that as the government, we want to show that the usage or from banning these identity-based schools, we can form schools that can potentially be a powerful tool to teach to teach the students from an early age, especially from primary school, so that they can be more educated. First from the ethnic side, so they are more well known about the other ethnics and about other religions, and how what is more sensitive towards other ethnics and their religion. We want to promote this early development in children, so that they can know what becomes a sensitive issue when they are approaching, or when they are socializing with other people from other races or ethnics or religions. Okay. Now I will start giving how the mechanism and how government can how we approach on making schools that can give a balanced curriculum towards all ethnicity. So we want to make a school that focus on giving on focusing to make classes that focus on to separate classes that focus on religious studies or cultural studies as a different class, where only people who are related to the religion or the culture can enter, and anyone who wants or are willing or are interested or intrigued to enroll themselves in such classes, they also can enter the class. And for all other studies relating sciences or history and language, the classes will be complementary for all students, and the classes should be comprised of students from all types of ethnicity, religion, and race, so that the students can interact with one another and know what they are, and know and become more aware with other races. Okay. Okay. For the stance of my team is that we want to, as we know, as we know, what is close to us is Malaysia. We, as a multiracial country, we want that our children to be more open-minded towards other ethnics, so that there will not be the thought of being socially gapped by other races. And when we want to approach other ethnicities, there will be no mental block in our heads or in our children's heads, that when we are from a certain ethnic, we cannot talk to these others ethnic, that will leave a racial bias in our children's heads.
Hi, please.
Okay, you're right.
Okay, so you mentioned about you would ban in identity-based schools because it would initiate in racial bias through the inability for them to interact with the inability or no safety to interact with one another. What is racial bias in that? I don't see any racial bias in there. What do you mean by racial bias in general? Are you trying to imply that we learn these students are inherently biased?
Yes, I see your point. I want to say that these students, they will learn in their own. They will create their own groups and become more easy approachable to students that are from their own ethnics. Okay, so sorry for that. I want to enter my point is that as my first point is that I want to promote unity. The government side want to promote unity in education from all ethnics, right? They want to make sure that the students from an early age were eager to learn from other cultures, to know what their cultures are all about, what do they do on their living, and um, how come their own religion are the same are not same as the others. As my time is up. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you for the Prime Minister for the speech. The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, I would like to call upon opposition leader to deliver her speech. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. YDP. Before I start, can you hear me and see me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Also, can I see the timer all throughout my speech, because just now the timer was hidden between the first and 6 minutes, because it would be hard for me whether to choose to accept your eyes or not. Okay, if the timekeeper can share the screen all throughout my speech, thank you. Okay. So, okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Assalamualaikum and good evening. I bid to Miss Chairperson, the wise educators and my accurate timekeeper, also my worthy opponents on the government side, my loyal comrades of the government, of the opposition team, and also to the members and audience of this house. Yeah, so I am Laila Mastura and I will be the opposition leader. As the first speaker from the opposition side, I will be doing two things. Firstly, I would like to rebut the case brought by the Prime Minister and also present one argument from the opposition side with the keyword that actually by opposing this motion, we oppose this motion because we actually want to emphasize on the spiritual and cultural studies, while also my second speaker, Ms. Alia Shafira, will be presenting her arguments under the keywords of promotes diversity and also freedom of choice. Also, lastly, my opposition whip, Mr. Afif, will deconstruct this debate and show you why we are correct in our stance and why we believe that this motion should fall. So firstly, before I go into my stance and also the arguments from the opposition side, I would like to rebut the case brought by the Prime Minister, which throughout his speech, he actually focused more onto the definition and also the mechanism and also their status quo, while not actually explaining about their points. So I actually have a request for the Deputy Prime Minister for his next speech. Please actually support your points, because we, the opposition side, would like to rebut his point very much. Okay, so I would like to rebut the case. So firstly, about the definition given by the Prime Minister about the identity-based school. So he said that a school who gathers students mostly based on their ethnicity or religion. So, and we accept that that definition, and also from throughout this debate, we on the opposition side would rather call this identity-based school as vernacular schools, as we are in Malaysia and it is called that. Okay. So he also mentioned that actually why they would want this motion to stand is that they would like to form schools which can teach students to be more educated about other ethnic and religion, and also what is sensitive to this group. So which, yes, it could actually do that. However, I don't, based on their points, I don't actually, based on their mechanism, I don't actually see how the government would like to actually implement this motion. Also, speaking of the mechanism, he also said that the government would like to do a balanced curriculum, and also which for the classes, the students will be separated by ethnic for their for the cultural classes, I guess, and also for the main subject, which are the history, the sciences and arts, also etc. They would be learned together because they want to have students learn together and also interact with each other. So actually, I don't think this mechanism relates to our motion at all, because our motion is that this house would ban identity-based schools. No, thank you. This house would actually ban identity-based school or vernacular schools. So actually, your mechanism should actually focus on how would you abolish these schools. And also maybe the second, the supportive mechanism is that how you would actually make the national schools, the public school better for. So I don't actually understand about how you would actually implement this motion. Also, onto their stance, they would like to have children be more open-minded and no racial gap, which I think also that is the objective of this motion, because we both want to have younger generation to be more open-minded and respectful to other ethnicity and races and also religions. No, thank you. So onto their point in which they would like to promote unity in education, I cannot rebut much because he was very late in introducing his point. So I would pass on the rebuttal onto my DLO and opposition view. Okay, so onto the first argument from the opposition side. So our first argument is that our stance, before I go into argument, the opposition believe that this motion should fall because vernacular schools or identity-based schools actually promotes better identity understanding in a multicultural community. So on our first point to support our stance is that by having identity-based school or vernacular schools, we actually would have we could emphasize or preserve the values of this group for this religious group, ethnic and races. So for the POI, I will accept after. Please wait for 30 seconds. Okay. So onto how we actually preserve, how vernacular schools actually preserve the cultural values or the spiritual values for religious schools is actually by having a dedicated school for each ethnicity. You would actually have the students learn about this particular culture where the students is represented by the school to have actually more understanding about the culture. They would live in it. They would breathe in it. So in that way, we'd actually preserve the culture, the cultural values. Also for the religious schools, it's also the same thing. When you breathe in the religious schools, you would actually learn about it more. You would actually preserve it more. So how do we actually see if these schools would abolish, this school would be banned? Actually, the public school would actually deculturalize about these groups. Actually, again in the mechanism, they would like to say a balanced curriculum. So a balanced curriculum is that you would actually have to measure which one to include and which one to exclude. So which one to exclude, it will actually deculturalize these values. So you would have ethnicity, would have religious group, you would have races, students of these races who actually don't learn more about their own culture because they cannot learn, because their balanced curriculum excluded them in the syllabus. No, thank you. It's after the 6 minutes. So how again it would actually emphasize the spiritual studies and the cultural studies, in which you would have classes. You have special classes on languages. You would have specialized classes on culture, and you would also have special classes on religion. So you would have actually learn more about this particular. You would actually live in it. So to end my speech, I would like to reaffirm our stance is that we oppose this motion because we want to promote better identity understanding in a multicultural community. With that, I end my speech. Thank you.
21 seconds. Thank you to the opposition leader for the speech. The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, we shall hear the speech from the Deputy Prime Minister. The floor is yours.
Okay, wait. Okay, so can you hear me? Can you see me clearly? See me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, great. Okay, so I would like to address the motion here today. Started off with thanks to our educators and also our timekeepers and also all the participants today. Okay, so first of all, I want to state something and certainly rebut the points that was given out by the opposition leader. Okay, so opposition leader said that they will have a better understanding of their culture. They will preserve the culture, and also and also when she said that in vernacular school, they will the culture will be they will have they will be deculturized. Okay, when they didn't learn their own culture. So okay, so what is the main so what problem do you want to bring there, my dear opposition leader? I cannot see why in vernacular school they couldn't provide any subjects that could provide a deeper understanding of cultures, such as and also I didn't understand that schools can provide a better understanding of their culture, even though by just having an identity school. Since we are focusing on identities, banning identity schools, which will defer students in many aspects. So why you only preserve that? You only say that they would have a better understanding of the culture when vernacular schools could also preserve their cultures by having classes that like my prime minister has said, we can unify them in certain classes, but we can differentiate them in classes that are specialized, like Islamic classes or biblical classes. Okay, so that's why I think that the opposition leader's point is a bit absurd. Okay, next I will not switch my word that. So I'm moving on to my point. My first point is by having a vernacular school, and when we ban identity schools, we could prove that students can be cannot be biased on the races, on the religions, and also the ethnics. Because identity schools, they would teach the children about what they have in their own culture and what they have in their own religion, their own ethnic, and their own races. So, what is the side effects of this? The side effect of this is they will have first undeveloped mentality. Undeveloped mentality make them immature. They are not mature enough to face the adult world. They could have problems in communicating, in working. Okay, so what more? Okay, so as you know, Malaysia is a multiracial country. So when they just learn what they have in their own religion school, and in their own racial school, in their own ethnic schools. So sorry, I'm not finished. When they become adults, they could be working in a we should envision this. We should envision this when they are adults. They could be working in a situation where there are employees or their employers could be in a different ethnic, different race, or even different religion. So how could they cope with that? Since they have been certainly shown in a situation where they are in the same religion, in the same race, in the same ethnic, they could not jump out of their comfort zone. Their comfort zone that shelters them from outside world, that shelters them from different identities of our countries. Okay, so it is a terrible situation for them. Okay, next. Okay, PI is given.
So are you trying to say that our education system is actually teaching people to be biased and to be racist just because?
Okay, so thank you for the PI. We are not saying that our education are teaching about being biased. We are saying that our education system that are proposed in the vernacular classes, such education schools, like the Prime Minister said, we allow them to go to certain schools, to go to certain classes that have different cultures. Okay, so that way we will avoid them from being biased there. Okay, so that answers my point there. Okay, stop there. Okay, next, for my next point is by giving equality with banning identity schools, we would uncap limitation of the job employment in the education system. Okay, so first, not first. Okay, so we have two stakeholders here. Okay, so we have the educators and also the school themselves. Okay, so for the educators, they could work anywhere they want, and they would they would have more wide choices to choose in schools in Malaysia. Okay, so I will give an example. I want to give an example where there are Chinese schools like my Prime Minister just now. When there are Chinese schools, so when teachers, they are Malay and they are Muslim, so when they want to go to that school, they will certainly feel somewhat ostracized. It's not so ostracized. They will feel ostracized, and when somehow people teach that, people say to them, "Are you teaching in a Chinese school? What, you're Malay?" Okay, so that's a bit or in the other way around. So like a Chinese teacher want to teach in a Malay school. Okay, so by banning identity schools, they could have a wider array of sections. Okay, for the second stakeholders is the school officials themselves. They could offer much more wide acceptations for all the teachers. So therefore, there will not become problem in the certain schools, like in in certain religious schools, they somehow came across a problem sometimes about the short-handed and limitation of staff and of teachers. Okay, so by banning identity schools, we could remove this limitation, so schools can offer a wide acceptation for more teachers in all schools. Okay, so so that's it for my speech, because my time is jealousing me. Thank you.
7 minutes. Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for the speech. The speakers spoke for 7 minutes sharp. Okay, we shall now hear the speech from the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Share here.
Okay, hello. Before I start my speech, before I start my speech, I would like to check whether I'm audible. Can you hear me clearly, and can you see me clearly?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. I bid to honorable judges, our timekeeper, on basically all the members of the floor. So for today's motion, this House would ban identity-based schools. So as the opposition, we believe this motion should fall because identity-based schools promotes better identity understanding in a multiracial community. So as the second speaker, my name is Adia Shafira. As the second speaker, I would rebut points and rebuttals delivered from the government side, and also providing 2 points under the key phrase promoting diversity and also allowing freedom of choice. Promotes better diversity and also allowing freedom of choice. So moving on to the rebuttals coming from the government side. First of all, the government side the government side actually is implying that currently all the racial bias, all the racial issues that happens in the country is because of these identity-based schools. And actually, it is not true. This is not true because when you imply that identity-based schools are the reason why people became racist, it's so untrue, because schools are basically to teach people good values. It is not you cannot just simply say sorry, I will not be accepting until I've delivered my point. Thank you. All right. So you're basically implying that identity-based schools are the reason why people became racist, which is not true, because in schools the people are taught to respect each other and everything, and you cannot hold a person's you cannot account a person's actions because of their education places. That is so wrong in so many ways. And then when you say that identity-based schools makes people have problems in communicating with one another, it is also not true, because basically what the government is trying to imply racial bias in isolated cases. Okay. And then when you say there is no bias in religion or race, and also you want to promote better acceptance in national schools, I cannot see where the justification. How are you going to promote awareness for other religions? It's all in hate. It's all in a haze. So I don't know how the government is actually going to win this debate, because all you are implying from your first speaker to your second speaker, you are implying that identity-based schools is where people learn how to be racist, which is so not true. All right. Okay, moving on to my points, which is promoting diversity. So promoting, what is the meaning of, why do we say that actually identity-based schools promotes better diversity? Because it promotes in the current status, even though they are identity-based schools does not make it exclusive for that particular religion itself, like a particular religion or ethnic itself. Like if we have the existence of SJKC and SJKT, right? Even so, these schools does not hinder, or does not prevent other religion or other ethnics to join their schools. So it gives other people of different religion the option to learn other people's culture. And why is that promotes better diversity? Because it gives people of different religions or ethnic chances to thrive, to experience an environment where they are not very familiar with. And why is that promoting diversity? Because in return, it actually provides a society that knows the diverse culture in that country. They know the do's and the don'ts and everything. And also it promotes unity.
May I?
Hold on, government, we are not finished yet. Okay, and then it provides unity based on understanding of their cultures, and also it not make, and I've mentioned before, it does not make it exclusive for a particular person or a particular religion. There's just to give more choices, which relates to my third point, which is allowing freedom of choices. Because you have to remember, in a multiracial community, there are majorities and also minorities. So when you eliminate identity-based schools, you are eliminating choices for minorities, which is also unfair. Like the minorities always struggles with the majority. So why do you feel the need to further impose limitations to them? It is so unfair to them, and also it is better. It's good for them to learn how to preserve their own, to learn something about their own culture, and we should not take that chance away from them. All right, is there any POIs from the government side?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
It's not how would you as tabernacle school or identity-based school would promote diversity if they are only knowing the do's and don'ts of their own culture and no other culture? Would you?
All right. Okay. So then do's and don'ts and other cultures. So when they have experience in interacting with other cultures, they are experienced in mixing with other cultures because they join other schools, schools with schools. They learn. They know how to interact with one culture is good, so they can use that skill to learn to improve their interactions with other cultures. Just because I mentioned, just because I give one example doesn't mean it cannot be applied to any other thing. Please do not narrow your mind at this. So because it is really it is important for us to remember, in the multiracial country, you cannot just simply think you cannot just simply diminish the importance of minorities in a country in itself. So therefore we believe that this motion should fall, because identity-based schools actually promotes better identity understanding in the multiracial community. Thank you. I would rest my case.
Thank you to the Deputy Leader of Opposition for the speech. The speakers spoke for 6 minutes and 55 seconds. Now I would like to call upon Government Whip to deliver her speech. The floor is yours.
Bismillah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Or am I lagging or not?
No.
Fam, ada Fam.
Okay. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Assalamualaikum and a very pleasant evening. I bid to experienced panel of adjudicators, meticulous timekeeper, formidable opponents on the opposition side, allies on side of government, and everybody present in this meeting today. So here's how I'm going to structure my speech today, right? Okay, firstly, I'll clarify the context of today's debate and provide rebuttals to the argumentation brought by the other side of the house, which is the opposition side. Secondly, I'll compare both cases brought by both sides of the house, and I'll tell you why we understand today's debate better. Lastly, I'll show you the outcome of today's debate, and we will be reaffirming of our stand. So before I jump into my rebuttals, we from the government side believe that in order for this debate to progress, we think that clashes of point must exist. Ladies and gentlemen, however, the opposition side has been trying to debate in a bubble and not engage with any point that the government has trying to bring into this debate. And they do not engage from my previous speaker's point. So the opposition side, please engage more on my government, on my Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister points, okay? Okay, firstly, clarifications and rebuttals. So today's debate is, today's motion is this house would ban identity-based schools. First and foremost, let me clarify a little bit of you for you, dear opposition team. What do my Prime Minister is trying to bring into this debate, okay? So first of all, he already said that we would ban identity-based schools, but he specifically mentioned the schools that he's trying to banish is the primary school, okay? Primary school only. So please understand that. And secondly, we're not abolishing the concept of identity-based school, but we're emphasizing that identity-based schools would promote cultural misunderstanding grow up and they step into the world. No, thank you. I'll take you later. Okay, so with the definitions being cleared, I hope that the opposition will be the whip of opposition will be more engaging, and I can see that the opposition does not really understand and engage with the Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister point, because they do not really understand what we are trying to bring. So second, let's move on to the clashes of point. Okay, so from the side of government, the argumentation brought by government is we want to promote unity. Through education, we want to prevent bias and developmentality. We want to uncap limitation in terms of job employment education system. And in opposed to their points, they say that they want to emphasize on cultural and spiritual studies, promote diversity and freedom of choice. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of their unity, okay, the first clashes of point is unity versus cultural, spiritual, and spiritual studies. Okay, the government has trying to bring to you today is how do we want to unite students, particularly in primary school, is that we want to abolish the boundary of culture, religion, or races so that they will mingle with each other better. For example, in Sekolah Kebangsaan Jalan 4, it is not an identity-based school. It's a very general school. It's a vernacular school. So to bring to what this school try to prompt to the student is that we can learn other culture in the school where there is no identity base. How can you expect to learn a Malay culture, an Indian culture in a Chinese-based school? Okay, so and then the leader of opposition said that in establishing vernacular school or identity-based school, they can emphasize on cultural and spiritual studies. But I do remember that the the leader of opposition said that they want to promote better understanding in multiracial country. So we in a multiracial country, how do you expect we learn? How do you expect we learn about other culture? May I ask? Of course, we learn through education, ladies and gentlemen, because education is a powerful tool and is an essential benchmark in what the children become when they grow older. Okay, so they say that they want to emphasize on cultural and spiritual studies because they would afraid that because they want these, for example, Muslim, they want to emphasize on the studies of Islamic studies on Muslim students because they want to really integrate these studies so that in the near future they would know what is do's and don'ts in Islam and what the same applies to other culture lah. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, second, the clashes of point is the government said that the Deputy Prime Minister said that we want to abolish or ban identity-based schools because we want to prevent bias and undeveloped mentality. So what is bias and undeveloped mentality here, ladies and gentlemen? So bias is like racist. We are racist towards other people in terms of their ethnicity, races, and also social background or also religion. Okay, so what the Deputy Prime Minister is trying to say to you is that we do not have specific subject on culture except for moral and civics. Yes, I do agree with that. I'll take you later. But we do not have specific subject on the development of a good Muslim apart from if we abolishing identity-based school, we would see how the children would progress to become a multi-rounded student, right? Because they are not biased to other ethnicity. Okay, so the opposition second point is promote diversity. I can see that this is very clashing with their first leader's point, which is promoting diversity is mean that you understand other culture do's and don'ts, you understand other cultures, what do you call it, do's and don'ts lah. So how would you expect a student, a graduate from a primary school that is vernacular, such as sekolah jenis kebangsaan, and how would you expect these people to actually mingle with other people from another? Do you expect them to meet on a competition? No, it's very unlikely because this is a very indirect education we are trying to reach here. And then lastly, the opposition also say that we are abolishing in terms of abolishing identity-based school, we are jeopardizing the freedom of choice. But then again, this freedom of choice of the minority is not as important as the majority, which is the Muslim and the Malay. So freedom of choice here would be better achieved if we are incorporating if you are abolishing identity-based school. Okay, so I would like to reaffirm our stand, which is as education is a powerful tool to achieve to achieve and encourage unity in multiracial country. With that, I raise my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the government brief from the speech. The speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 52 seconds. Now I would like to call upon opposition whip to deliver his speech. The floor is yours.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, you can see me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good evening. My name is Afif, and I will be the opposition whip for this debate. And what I will be doing is I will be rebutting the points made by the government, and by comparing these points to the points that we made, and also we will present the arguments, the counter arguments. We would prove to the people of the floor that why the opposition should win. But before I start my speech, I would like to first re-emphasize on our stance, which is we oppose the motion because we think that because we want to promote better understanding of the identities in a multicultural country. Now, first, I would like to, since the government whip mentions about how we are not touching on the points made by the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, let me spell it out for you. I will target the specific points made by the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, and but before that, I would like to explain further on why the Prime Minister, the leader of opposition, mentioned about why we think that why your mechanism will not work. Because we believe that it will require reformation of the syllabus. We think that it is hard to implement, especially with the large number of groups to satisfy, which means that we have to reserve spaces for so many specialized subjects, which will then lead to the demand for more specialized teachers. And what happens is that imagine if every public school have to manage that, it will be difficult for them because there are so many things that they have to consider. With a lot of specialized teachers that can only teach these specialized subjects. Now we'll be rebutting the points made by the Prime Minister, in which he said about they believe that vernacular school they believe that public schools promotes unity. They think that everyone knows what other cultures are all about. But how are we to ensure the legitimacy and the originality of the culture is preserved if the minority of people themselves have less experience with the people of the same culture? Because we believe that it is not difficult for people, for let's say Indian and Chinese people, to understand the culture of Malay people, because there are already an abundance of Malay people in general. But these people are the minority. It is hard for them to understand, to mingle with people of their own culture if they do not meet them in schools. Well, meanwhile, they can meet with Malay students in their own neighborhood as well. So no, thank you. Because by having them stay in vernacular schools, we believe that they can enhance their identity, and we want them to shine even though they are a minority. And this shows because we think that the government is a bit tunnel-sighted, because they believe that identities-based schools only have students of that particular group. But in reality, there are also like Malay students which attend vernacular schools. What does this mean? This means that because of the implementation of vernacular schools, people of other cultures are interested in the different cultures as well. That's why we believe that this positive effect is taking place. Now, I would like to rebut the points made by the Deputy Prime Minister, in which the second point made by the government is that he believes that there is no bias in religion or race. They think that by having them stay in vernacular schools, if they think that they have an undeveloped mentality and they will have a problem in communicating in the future. But are you forgetting that there are still students of other identities in public schools as well, even with the inclusion of vernacular schools and religious schools? So there is no reason for people, for let's say the minority of people of the minority who are in public schools as of now, like even with the existence of vernacular schools, to feel alienated, because there's no reason to feel alienated. And also the Malay students who are in public schools, they will not be completely oblivious to the people of other identities as well, because it's not like if they stay in public schools as of now, it's not like they will feel like they have never seen or never interacted with a person of the other culture. And the third point made by the government is that they feel that if with the implementation of vernacular schools and religious schools, they think that this causes a limitation of staff. Okay, what's your PI?
Okay, so vernacular schools are established ever since before our independence because they are rule and divide. So does a vernacular school promote racism further if we encouraging this identity-based school to be established?
Yeah, that was the okay. I will answer your PI. Okay, that may be the purpose of the establishment of the schools at first, but but do you realize why we have not abolished the system yet? Because like I said earlier about the positive effect of the vernacular schools towards the society is that the people of other cultures are very intrigued about the people of the opposing culture. Now, you talk about the limitation of staff in vernacular schools, but I think that makes sense because, like I said earlier, in these special schools, they teach specialized subjects, and therefore they need special teachers who specialize in those very specific subjects. Now, most likely, a vernacular school or religious school will involve the minority, and we do not think that such schools require as much manpower as a public school. So we do not think that these schools in general will have problems with limitation of staff and such. And with all the rebuttals and arguments that I have presented, I think that I have made my point clear. I believe that the opposition's world is much better as opposed to the government world, and we think that we should win the debate. Thank you.
Thank you for the opposition whip for the speech. The speaker spoke for 7 minutes short. Now, both of the government and opposition are being given 1 minute to prepare their reply speech. The time is up. I call upon the speaker from the opposition side to deliver their speech, the reply speech. The floor is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Am I audible and can be seen clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and we meet again in the second last speech of today's debate, this evening's debate. I am Laila Mastura and I will be delivering the reply speech from the opposition side, where I will summarize today's debate and show to you why we, the opposition side, are winning today's debate. So today's debate is on the motion this House would ban identity-based schools, and as the opposition, we believe that this motion should fall. So why we believe that this motion should fall? Firstly, because of our stance is that we oppose this motion because we want to promote better identity understanding in a multicultural community. So throughout this debate, I have, again, as I have mentioned in my substantive speech, is that the Prime Minister, the government side actually didn't explain much about their mechanism on how to abolish, how to ban these identity-based schools, these vernacular schools. So, and also that I have rebutted very much about my team and I have also rebutted all the points given by the government side and also show you why their points are invalid. Okay, so I would like to compare about I would like to summarize our side, the opposition side or the opposition team's argument in that our first argument is that we believe by not abolishing, by not banning vernacular schools, we would have more and we would preserve the values of the spiritual and cultural values of a particular groups, in which that we have said that by having these vernacular groups or these religious schools, vernacular schools and religious schools, they would have more in-depth classes. They would have more in-depth knowledge about the culture or the religion that school represented. And also in our second point, my deputy leader of opposition have also that vernacular schools actually promote the diversity, in which that these schools are identity-based schools, are not identity-exclusive schools, in which that it is not exclusive for a particular group. So the other people of other group can also join these schools, can also enter these schools and learn about the culture of other groups. So in that way, it actually promotes diversity. So we have the public school where everyone can join, and we also have vernacular schools where they are actually made for a particular group, but they are also open to other people who want to join that schools. So in that way, we actually promote diversity. So we have schools which teaches the students about their particular culture and also their students about their particular culture. So when they go outside, they would actually become the representative of that culture. And also our third point is that by having vernacular schools, we actually give the freedom of choice to the parents, to the students to actually choose which school they want to go. So because the public school and the vernacular school have their own reputation, so they actually can choose which one they would go and which one they would learn more about that culture. So again, I would like to reaffirm our opposition stance is that we oppose the motion this House would ban identity-based school because we believe that identity-based school or vernacular schools actually promote better identity understanding in a multicultural community and country. With that, I end my speech. Thank you.
Now, to conclude, let's welcome the speaker from the government side to give their reply speech.
Okay, thank you for the TYDB for giving me the chance to be giving the speeches. I will giving. Oh, sir. I think. Okay, I will start in 3, 2, 1. So thank you for the TYDB for giving me the opportunity to give the reply speech. For today, I am Wisdom Yash as the Deputy Prime Minister of our government side. We want to I want to give I will give the reply speech. Okay, so for our reply speech, first I want to say about I want to point out about the flaws of the opposing team and why our stance should stand strong and why we will not our stand will not fall, and what is the flaws of the opposing team that causes their own fault. Okay, so they failed to what we want to show that they have failed to engage with the points that were given by us when we said that we want to we can promote the learning of each other cultures by having classes in or in respecting cultures in our public schools. So that proof that their point are not be categorized strong enough. Okay, so so they also say that they want to emphasize on cultural and spiritual studies, but they want to promote better diversity. So that point and the second point contradicts each other, because we don't think that by emphasizing on your own culture that you can have a better way of learning and any other diversity by itself. Okay, next we want to compare our point that even though that when they say that when they say that they want to say that the freedom of choice, but by having identity school, it certainly limits their choices. Okay, so we have catered that point by the whip. Okay, next when we say okay, so why we think that the government have solved issues better, because when they okay, so because our point is to promote unity in education. So when they say that they want to when they say that they want to just emphasize on or their own culture and their own spiritual studies, they just focusing on themselves. They have no unity. They will not be really accustomed to other cultures. They could not really involve themselves in their cultures. Okay, so so for their the opposition's best case scenario, and why do we think that our worst case scenario is better than them? Because they say that their best case scenario even if the culture of the ethnic is preserved, there will be no unity among the races, and we'll see by having no unity, we could see the repetition of the event of 13th May 1969 tragedy. Okay, so you don't want to see that. So but why our worst case scenario is better? Because they say that we could not emphasize on our own culture when they also emphasize about the minority, which is they also emphasize on the phrase minority to minority. So that is simply not true, because school when in primary school that may be correct, but in secondary school they should be having a better understanding, because they are very matured at the point. Okay, so I will end this speech with saying education systems and educational institutions have an important role and responsibility in addressing and eliminating racism. Okay, so let's end this with, okay, so let our stance stand strong. Let the ban on identity schools is go and is done, and let the winner be the Fpsk.
That is all for this round's debate season. On behalf of the House, I thank the educators for their assistance. I congratulate all the debaters on the performance. Now, I will assign all the educators to the breakout room to discuss. While the debater, please remain in this room in the meantime.